Yo, what's up? Welcome back to another episode of the Suas. I'm recording this while the games are still going on, so I actually don't know how we did. We started off awesome, but then we lost the Red Sox and White Sox bets, both in like a 15-minute span, so we'll have to wait and see how we do. But Thursday, I think there's only 7 or 8 games to go through. Let's dive in.
Welcome to the Suas. The Suas. Suas. Hey, get the Suas.
First up, Braves at Phillies. Bryce Elder pitching against Taijuan Walker. Phillies open up as very slight favorites here, -115. Total opens up at 9.5. Let's take a quick look at the spreadsheet. According to the model, 3-2 Atlanta after 5 innings. Final score 5-3 Atlanta. All right, so we got Bryce Elder on the road. Here's numbers from his last 3 road starts. Definitely impressive as hell. 140 ERA, 088 WHIP, 245 FIP. Can't argue with those numbers. Definitely been dominant in his last 3 starts on the road. We do have to take into account that 2 of those 3 starts were at Oakland and at Miami. And the Marlins start was back in early May before they were really hitting. Actually, Bryce Elder really hasn't pitched much on the road at all recently. 5 of his last 6 starts have been at home in Atlanta. And if you lay his production out in a chart like this, you can see there's definitely a couple concerning starts here, specifically the Mets and Nats starts. Earned run numbers definitely spiking a bit there. But the reason I like to look at the data on a chart like this, it paints a picture of where we can handicap this guy. You can see his FIP numbers, despite the ERA numbers going up and down, FIP numbers tend to stay a little more consistent. If you look at the last 5 starts, he's chilling around 4 or just above 4. So I feel that's where I'm comfortable handicapping Bryce Elder right now, about 4 runs per 9 innings. Now, pitching on the road in Philadelphia is definitely not the easiest spot for a righty, but I will say, I think people are, and when I say people, myself included, I think we're all a little guilty of overvaluing the Phillies lineup based on their hot streak they're on. They've won 13 of the last 16 games, but if you just look at their numbers in the last 14 days, Phillies are just 11th in OPS, 15th in WRC plus against right-handed pitching. We just saw James Kaprielian and Spencer Strider pitch great games against the Phillies, and both of those happened in the last 3 or 4 days. So I think it's safe to say Bryce Elder can pitch a good one here and hold the Phillies to 2 runs or less in this spot. On the other side, we've got Taijuan Walker, and first off, he's at home. So here are his home away splits of the season. You can see much better production at home. 5.76 ERA on the road, drops all the way to a 2.25 at home. WOBA, WHIP, and FIP numbers all much better looking at home as well. But it's not just his numbers at home I like here. I mean, look at the warpath he's been on. Here are his numbers over his last 3 starts. Taijuan Walker's caught fire. Over his last 3 starts, he's 3-0 with an 0.45 ERA and an 0.80 WHIP, 2.08 FIP. Absolutely dominant numbers over his last 3 starts. But again, just like we did with Bryce Elder, we got to look at who he pitched against in the last 3 starts. Oakland, Dodgers, and Detroit. And the Dodgers are ice cold against righties, so those numbers from the last 3 starts may be a bit of a mirage. And keep in mind, he's pitching against the Atlanta Braves, and do we really need to pull these numbers up again? We talk about it every single day. The Braves bats are absolutely insane right now. In the last 14 days, they're first in every single offensive category, a 156 WRC plus against right-handed pitching. This lineup is absolutely annihilating righties. I think this is a welcome back to earth spot for Taijuan Walker. And to hammer that point home a little harder, look at Walker's last 4 starts against the Atlanta Braves. He's got a 9.82 ERA, a 1.98 WHIP, 7.78 FIP, not good at all. I think Braves are going to smack this dude around a little. So at the -130 price tag, I'm happy to take Atlanta. Give me Braves money line -130 next game. D-backs at Nationals. Tommy Henry pitching against Jake Irvin. Arizona opens up as -152 favorites. Total opens up at 9.5. Let's take a quick look at the spreadsheet, and we got 4-3 D-backs after 5 innings. Final score 7-5 D-backs. So Jake Irvin's on the mound, and prop beaver's trend still hasn't lost. After the Mets start, prop beaver said we're going to blindly bet the opponent's team total over whenever Jake Irvin pitches. Jake Irvin's opponent's team total over has now cashed in 6 straight starts. Now let's give Jake Irvin a little bit of credit. He did pitch well in his last start. It was a home start against Miami, but now he's got to pitch against Arizona. And first off, they just saw him. The D-backs just saw Jake Irvin. They scored 4 runs off him in just 4 innings of work. But not only did they just see him, But look at the way Arizona's been hitting right-handed pitching. I mean, this is crazy. In the last 14 days, they're 3rd in OPS, 4th in WRC+. I just don't see any reasons to think this dude's going to shut down the Diamondbacks lineup. But before we just go blindly bet Arizona, we need to take a little bit of a deeper look because we're dealing with Tommy Henry on the road. And goddamn, look at his home-away splits. Sure, his numbers look solid at home, 3.50 ERA. But it jumps up to a 6.75 ERA on the road. And look at the FIP, a 7.28 FIP on the road, indicating that he's actually had some good luck to get that 6.75 ERA in his road starts. The good news for Tommy Henry would be that Washington's bats against lefties certainly aren't scaring anybody right now. The last 14 days against lefties, the Nats are 24th in OPS, 26th in WRC+. I'm not saying I'm definitely down to back Tommy Henry here, but this does look like a decent spot for him. Here are the last 4 lefty starters to pitch against Washington. All great starts. All 4 of them pitched well. Jordan Montgomery, 7 innings pitched, 1 run. Luzardo, 6 innings, 2 runs. Garrett, 6 innings, 2 runs. Framber Valdez, 7 innings, 1 run. Again, I'm not saying Tommy Henry is going to shut down the Nats here because his road numbers are truly terrible. I'm just saying it does look like a really nice spot for him. That's all. Now, I definitely need to mention that this will be the 3rd time Washington's seen Tommy Henry already this year, which is crazy to be pitching for the 3rd time against one team, a team that's not even in your division. Washington did get to him pretty badly in his last start too. Doesn't change my opinion that I like the spot for him, but I felt that was definitely worth mentioning. Now, when you look at the bullpen numbers here, it's really hard not to like the over in this one. I mean, it's Jake Irvin versus Tommy Henry, 2 bullpens that aren't particularly pitching well. I can't really decide. I'm either going Arizona or an over. Arizona at a -144 price against Jake Irvin definitely looks nice. Or like I said, I might bet the over, or I might combine those and just take the Arizona team total over. I'll definitely be playing an angle like that. I'll let you know for sure on the live show at 11 a.m. next game. Boston at Minnesota. Boston's got some guy named Walter pitching. No clue who it is. Pitching against Joe Ryan. There's no line open, no total open. I'm skipping this one for now. When we have some more information, maybe I'll have a bet for this one on the live show, but pass. Next game. Oakland at Cleveland. JP Sears pitching against Logan Allen. Cleveland opens up as -165 favorites. Total opens up at 8. Let's take a quick look at the spreadsheet, and we're looking at 3-3 even tie after 5 innings. Final score 5-4 Cleveland. So like I said, Logan Allen is on the mound, and this dude's numbers are just trending in the wrong direction right now. Coming off back-to-back terrible starts against both Houston and at San Diego. Makes it really tough to get behind this kid right now. And then if you look at his last 3 starts at home, it only gets worse for Logan Allen. His last 3 starts at home, 6.06 ERA, 1.78 WHIP. Now, to be fair, those starts were against the Astros, the White Sox, and the Angels. Both Houston and Chicago, two lineups that definitely produce more against lefties than they do against righties. So not the easiest lineup for a left-handed starter to pitch against. And the Angels have been killing everybody all year. So it's definitely been a rough little stretch of 3 games for him. But still, 6.06 ERA through 3 home starts is definitely not something that gives me a ton of confidence. Despite those rough-looking numbers from Logan Allen, this really might be a nice spot for him at home against the Oakland lineup that isn't hitting lefties at all right now. In the last 14 days, A's are 28th in WRC plus versus lefties. They're dead last in average slugging percentage and OPS. This Oakland Athletics lineup should be a sight for sore eyes for Logan Allen, who's desperately in need of a quality start. Here's where this one gets a little bit weirder. Oakland has only seen 1 true lefty starter this entire month. The only 2 lefty pitchers to start a game against the A's since June 1st are Jalen Beeks, and that was a bullpen day for Tampa. He only went like an inning and a third or something like that. The other was Christopher Sanchez with the Phillies. He actually pitched 4 shutout innings, allowing just 1 hit. But the point I'm making is there's not a huge sample size when we're looking at those Oakland numbers against lefties. Regardless, I think Logan Allen gets back on track. Keep in mind, this dude was pitching very well earlier in the season. We know he's capable of putting together good starts, so I really like the spot for him. I think he pitches well against Oakland here. But hold up. Before we all go rush to bet Cleveland, check out JP Sears' numbers from his last 4 road starts, because wow. My man JP's dealing right now. 2.61 ERA, 2.86 WOBA, 1.06 WHIP. JP Sears has been pitching very well. Even in his last start, he gave up 4 runs to the Phillies, and at first glance, you might be like, oh, Phillies got to him. Not really. I mean, he pitched 7 innings and only gave up 4 hits and no walks. It's really not a bad start. Can he keep this streak going on the road against Cleveland? Well, if it was a month ago, I'd be down to back him just because he's a lefty, and Cleveland was so bad hitting lefties for the huge chunk to start the season. But look at the Guardians' numbers against lefties in the last 14 days. I mean, these are not the Cleveland Guardians bats of April and May. This team's top 10 in most categories. This has become a dangerous lineup for both right-handed pitching and left-handed pitching. I don't know if I could truly get there with the Cleveland -1.5. I'm not going to lay that big juice. I'll consider Cleveland -1.5, but I think my favorite angle is just go under, or specifically Oakland team total under when that line opens. I'll let you know for sure on the live show at 11 a.m. next game. Padres at Giants. Blake Snell pitching against Alex Wood. Padres open up as very slight favorites here, -115. Total opens up at 7.5. Let's take a quick look at the spreadsheet, and we got to lean on San Diego here. 4-2 Padres after 5 innings. Final score 5-4 Padres. So San Diego's going to be hitting off Alex Wood to close the series, and it's definitely an encouraging sign that he tosses with his left hand, because the Padres are just red hot against lefties. Against lefties over the last 30 days, San Diego's second in WRC+, second in isolated power, fourth in OPS. They truly have been murdering lefties for the last 30 days. In Alex Wood's last 4 home starts against the Padres, he's been awful. 0-2 with an 8.31 ERA, 167 whip, and a 2.1 home runs per 9. So the Padres have had no problem coming into San Francisco and just handling Alex Wood. And since we're talking about Alex Wood at home, why don't we take a look at some of his splits, because they're not looking great. Here are his numbers from his last 3 home starts. 8.10 ERA, 4.28 WOBA, 5.61 FIP, not good at all. So that's already concerning enough, even before you add in the fact that the Padres have been killing lefties. Now, normally I am not the biggest day and night split guy, but these are significant, and I thought it was worth mentioning in the video. At night, in night games this year, Alex Wood's got a 1.93 ERA and a 1.11 whip, 3.75 FIP through his 6 starts at night. He's been great at night. But in his 3-day games, he's been ragdolled. 8.49 ERA, 4.52 WOBA, 2.14 whip. This game may be starting at 3:45 p.m. for the East Coast folks. But over there, this is starting at 12:45. This is a day game. All the splits point to it being a terrible start for Alex Wood. And then you add on the fact that San Diego has owned him in his home ballpark recently. On the other side, you got Blake Snell, and this guy's been on an absolute warpath. Through 9 starts this year, he was not looking great. 5.40 ERA, 1.56 whip, 5.55 FIP. He was off to a very mediocre start, bad start to the season for him. But now look at his last 5 starts. Whatever Blake Snell was looking for, he found it. He's got a 0.60 ERA, 2.14 WOBA, 0.90 whip, 2.21 FIP. I mean, he's been elite for 5 starts now. And usually, if we're judging by years past, backing Blake Snell on the road can be a bit of a nightmare, but look at his numbers over his last 4 road starts. This is the most impressive part. A 1.50 ERA and a 1.04 whip and a 2.91 FIP. He's been pitching great on the road, and if you've been betting baseball the last couple of years, you know that is shocking, because Blake Snell on the road has a history of being a fade machine. And then when we get to Blake Snell's numbers against the Giants, still good news for San Diego here. He's made 6 career appearances against San Francisco. He's 3-1 with a 2.51 ERA and a 1.26 whip. His 3 starts against the Giants last season alone is especially impressive. A 1.02 ERA, a 1.13 whip. So he's pitched really, really well against San Francisco as well. There's only one spot where I'm a little bit hung up, a little bit hesitant about blindly taking the Padres here, and it's the fact that the Giants lineup against lefties has just come to life. Check these numbers out. So up until a month ago, so if you rewind 30 days, at that point in the season, the Giants versus lefties, 26th in WRC+, 21st in average, 25th in OPS. So the Giants, up till about 30 days ago, were bottom 5, bottom 6 lineup in the MLB against left-handed pitching. Now, if you look at their numbers in the last 30 days, I mean, first in WRC+ and average and OPS. I mean, you can make an argument that this has been the best lineup in baseball against left-handed pitching for the last month. So they went from one of the worst against lefties to one of the best in a 30-day period. Combine that with the fact that the Giants bullpen has been elite and they just can't seem to stop winning. The way I'm going to play this is I'm going to stick to the Padres in the first 5. I'm going to avoid that Giants bullpen. I'm just going to play the pitching matchup here. I'm going to play Blake Snell over Alex Wood. Padres first 5 money line, I like it a lot. So give it to me. I might end up betting Padres on the full game also, but I'm really going to hammer that first 5 money line next game. Kansas City's on the road in Tampa. Kuas is starting for KC. If you've watched Royals baseball, you know that's a bullpen arm for them. So really tough to say what they're going to do as far as pitching in this game. Maybe he's going to start and they'll bring in a primary pitcher. Who knows? He's pitching against Shane Mack. So obviously the Rays open up as heavy favorites here, minus 250. Total opens up to 7.5. Let's take a quick look at the spreadsheet, and of course a heavy lean on Tampa. First 5 is 4-0 Rays. Final score 6-1 Rays. I am definitely skipping this one, at least for now. Maybe when I have a better idea of what Kansas City's going to do pitching wise, I'll try to find something. But I mean, it's Shane McClanahan at home against the Royals at a huge price. I don't want to fade him, but I don't know if I want to lay the juice either, so I'll skip. Next game, Pittsburgh's on the road in Miami to play the Marlins. You got Mitch Keller pitching against Braxton Garrett. Miami opens up as minus 140 favorites. Total opens up at 7. Let's take a quick look at the spreadsheet. We're looking at a 3-3 tie after 5 innings. Final score 6-4 Fish. I hate to say it, but it really might be time to hit the panic button for Mitch Keller. Through his first 10 starts of the year, he was looking like the NL Cy Young favorite. 2.44 ERA, 0.97 whip, 2.67 FIP. He was looking elite. But over his last 5 starts, most of those numbers have doubled. 6.14 ERA, 1.50 whip, 4.92 FIP. I mean, it looks night and day. He looks like a different guy out there. And perhaps the most concerning part, because you might be thinking, oh, well, maybe he hit a tough stretch of schedule. It's only 5 starts. Look who he's pitched against. The Mariners, the Giants, the A's, the Mets, and the Brewers. Those are the 5 starts that he's made where he's putting up these concerning numbers. If you take out the Giants, the other 4 are all bottom 12 lineups against righties over the last 30 days. The A's, Brewers, and Mariners specifically are all bottom 6 lineups against righties, and Mitch Keller's struggling against them. Now, I know the Marlins bats have been nothing to write home about recently. Over the last 14 days against right-handed pitching, just 17th in WRC+, 23rd in isolated power, 18th in OPS, pretty middle of the road, maybe slightly below average. But even if you like Mitch Keller to bounce back here, let's say, now personally, I'm not seeing any numbers that indicate that, but let's say that's how you feel. You like Mitch Keller to bounce back and put up a great start against the Marlins here. When he leaves the game, the Marlins have a dreadful Pirates bullpen to tee off on after he leaves. I mean, over the last 2 weeks, the Pirates bullpen is dead last in ERA with a 7.68, dead last in WOBA, 28th in expected FIP. And to make matters even worse, the Marlins are becoming the bullpen crushers. From innings 6 to 9, check this out. From innings 6 to 9 over the last 30 days, the Marlins are 2nd in WRC+, 3rd in OPS, 3rd in WOBA. This has been one of the best lineups in baseball against bullpens. They are just the bullpen killers. And then on the mound for the Marlins, you have Braxton Garrett, and you can make an argument that he's been better than Mitch Keller. I mean, he's certainly been pitching better than him recently. Over his last 7 starts, Braxton Garrett's dealing 2.13 ERA, 0.87 whip, 2.44 FIP. Those are elite numbers. Those better than Mitch Keller's numbers were early in the season. And he's pitching against a Pirates lineup that he dominated in his 2 starts against them last year, combining for 12 innings of work of just 1-run baseball, 18 strikeouts, and just 4 hits combined allowed. Here are the Pirates numbers in the last 30 days against right-handed pitching, and you can see it's definitely nothing that should scare you off the Marlins here. 19th in WRC+, 25th in isolated power, 18th in WOBA. Oh, that's versus lefties. I'm sorry, not against righties. The Pirates have now dropped 8 straight games, averaging just 2.5 runs per game. With the Marlins bullpen producing at a pretty solid level right now, 9th in ERA, 4th in FIP, 2nd in expected FIP. That's over the last 14 days. I think this is an easy spot to take the Marlins. I like the Marlins in basically every angle here, so I'm just going to continue to fade the Pirates. I think I bet the Cubs 3 straight in that series that just passed. I see no reason to stop fading Pittsburgh. Give me Miami money line. I think it's at like minus 120. Next game, Mariners at Yankees to finish up this series. Brian Wu pitching against Domingo Germán. Yanks open up as minus 130 favorites. Total opens up at 9.5. Let's take a quick look at the spreadsheet, and we got to lean on the Yanks here. 3-2 Yankees after 5 innings. Final score 5-3 Yankees. So Brian Wu set to take the mound for Seattle, and if you just look at his surface level numbers, you might ask how the Yankees aren't minus 180 favorites here. I mean, 7.30 ERA, 1.30 whip, 2.19 home runs per 9. Doesn't exactly sound like the type of guy you want to bet on, but if you look at some of his underlying numbers, there's a lot to like here with this kid. 37.7 K to BP percentage shows he's got really good command. On top of that, a 2.61 expected ERA, a 2.32 expected FIP, indicates that there's major positive regression coming for this kid. He hasn't pitched nearly as poorly as his numbers indicate. Really, Bryan Woo's main issue has been his horrendous splits against left-handed bats. He just really struggles to get lefties out. If you just look at the huge difference here in his splits, his righty-lefty splits. Against lefty, he looks like one of the worst pitchers in baseball, but against righties, he looks like one of the best pitchers in baseball. The good news for Bryan Woo is the Yankees are putting out a very righty-heavy lineup. He should be facing 6 right-handed bats in the Yankees projected lineup here, and this isn't the Yankees lineup as 2022, as we all know. This Yankees lineup without Judge, it sits 29th in WRC+, 29th in OPS, 27th in average versus right-handed pitching over the last 14 days, so this hasn't been a good lineup. I really like Bryan Woo to pitch a good game here, for real. On the other side, we have Domingo Germán, and here's another guy with some really significant splits here, but his are home and away. On the road, Germán is kind of a fade. I mean, heavily exploitable. You can see it from his game log. But at home, this guy has been a problem with an impressive 2.92 ERA, 2.33 WOBA, 0.84 WHIP, and 3.58 FIP. He's really pitched well in Yankee Stadium. Now he's going to face a Mariners lineup that did hit him up. 4 runs, 7 hits, 3 walks through 6 1/3 innings of work. Definitely not great. But I have optimism here because there's a bit of a pattern forming with Domingo Germán when it comes to his repeat matchups. Take a look at some of these examples. He's in his first start against the Twins, he dealt. In the second, he got rocked. In his first start against Cleveland, he looked terrible. In his second, he dealt. In his first matchup against Toronto, he got hit up. In his second one, he dealt. In his first matchup against Boston, he dealt. Then he got completely rocked in the second matchup. So Germán getting touched up in his first matchup against Seattle on the road indicates that here at home, he should deal against them. I know that's razor thin, but there's definitely a pattern for me. You can't deny that. And then when we look at the Mariners' offensive numbers recently, it just gives us even more reasons to back Domingo Germán here. Seattle's just 25th in WRC+, 26th in OPS, and dead last in average. That's against right-handed pitching. If you look at their last 10 games, looks like they woke up for a little bit, but then they just went right back down in the toilet. Their last 3 games have been absolutely terrible offensively. And then you add on the fact that when you look at these two bullpens, both have been very good. Both of these teams in the last 14 days are top 12 in ERA, WOBA, FIP, and expected FIP. So these bullpens, 2 very good units. So I like the spot for Bryan Woo. I like the spot for Domingo Germán, and I like both the bullpens and hate both the offenses. What does that all add up to? Under. Give me the under 8.5. Like I said earlier, live show, 11 a.m. We'll go through the games, give out final picks, cover all the line movement, stuff like that. If you're able to make it, would love to see you in the comments. Also, if you want the final ticket we put out, which has every single bet we're placing, how much on each, and the top bets. If you're interested in that, head over to KyleKirms.com. Thursday MLB, not the best baseball betting day. We can definitely find a few valuable spots here. Let's have ourselves a good one. Remember to bet responsibly, and I'll talk to you on Twitter.